Back for over a half-century, thousands of people have visited Temple Square in December when the trees and plants become a brilliant display of color in the evenings. Each year, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints takes a month and a half to string all the lights. Tonight, Craig Wirth has the story of how it all started. He's combined our ABC4 video with some spectacular photography from the church and the work of noted Utah photographer Rory Walwork. It's worth watching.
It was to be a feeling of peace. Yes, peace. That's what President David O. McKay of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints wanted in 1965. He turned on the switch for the first time on December 9th of 65. And for that first time, there was the annual collective awe as the lights of Temple Square radiated the peace of the season. Now, at that time, there were 40,000 lights. Today, there are some trees with 40,000 lights, all that come to light, as natural daylight is the shortest of the year. So how many lights are there? Well, the manager of ground service for Temple Square, Jay Warnick, is often asked that.
That's a great question, and honestly, I have no idea. I've actually tried to count them one by one, and a distraction comes and I lose count, and so we just leave it to our imagination. We know that there's more, significantly amount more than the 40,000 that were first put up back in 1965.
And back then, who would have guessed that we would someday have LED lights and amazing technology for displays?
Much more primitive installation methods, no pun intended, but they literally risked life and limb back in those days.
They indeed went out on branches with poles back then. It was a balancing act to light and yet to protect the trees. Today it isn't quite as precarious to put the bulbs on the trees, but there is a desire to really show off the natural beauty and the shape of the trees.
With evergreen trees, we simply don't just wrap around the outside, but we also try and get the lights into the depth of the tree as well.
Not every tree is lighted every year. Again, there is a desire to do no damage to any tree. This year, Mr. Warnick says, look at those giant chestnuts by the temple.
We have 3 80-foot horse chestnuts that are lit in bright white, and that's very striking and a majestic sight.
President McKay envisioned more than lights in 1965. They were to also highlight displays. They have changed a bit over the years. Today, there is a nativity scene that seems to float in the reflecting pool. There is great attention to color of lower displays that contrast with the mighty trees. There is to be a feeling of grand walkways of light. Now, one thing that has changed, well, it's the phone. Can you imagine how many pictures are taken here now? But they are pictures of what you see year after year. And even though we live in the days of massive mechanical and animated displays synced to music, well, here there's only to be the display of traditional beauty. You will see no flashing lights, for it does go back to that day in December of 1965.
What President McKay stated in the very first display is a feeling of reverence. And the purpose of the display is just that. It's to bring a feeling of peace.
It seems the whole town came down that first year. Now so many more come. For it's what people have looked for over the half-century Temple Square has been lighted. Peace. Well, the lights started as a beautiful display for the holidays, and it's turned into a worldwide sight to see. Craig Wirth, ABC4 News.
And after the holidays, they take down all of those lights. You see, they don't leave any of them up because they could damage the trees.
Time now for